Welcome, welcome everybody. This is the Westport Bike and Walking Committee. Today is February 16th, and we are opening the meeting up with introductions. And I'm going to start. My name is Gail Hartnett Rodricks. I am the bike chair for the Westport Bike Committee, and I'm going to go to my left, and that would be Bet.
My name is Bet Lowe. I'm the secretary of the Westport Bike Committee.
And then I'm going to go up to Lauren.
Hi, my name is Lauren. I live in North Westport on Blossom Road, and I currently work with the Rhode Island DEM Planning and Development Department, and I utilize the Quequechan Trail in Fall River quite often, so I'm really familiar with that area. So that's why I'm joining you today.
Okay.
Welcome. And to her, over her shoulder is Ed.
Hi, I'm Ed Reese. I've lived in Westport about 3 years. We're COVID refugees. And now that I can safely go out and talk to people without covering my face as often, I want to get connected and do something in and for the community. So this seems like a wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. And then Keith, if you're not driving and you could just type in, or you're driving and you could just hit the button.
I'm good. Keith McDonald, member of the committee.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. All right. Now,
Oh, I should mention that Gail and Keith are not mentioning that they are representatives to the South Coast Bikeways Committee. And Keith is on a statewide, what's your committee called, Keith? The Bike
advisory.
Advisory Committee.
An advisory board.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Thank you, Bet. And I think I talked to Ed about South Coast Bikeway Alliance. And Lauren, have you heard of the group?
I've definitely heard of the different bike groups, but I don't really know that much about them, but I have heard murmurs of the groups.
So just in a nutshell, they've been in formation since 2010. It started with a Mass Emotion person from New Bedford meeting the Fall River Mass Emotion on a bike, and they hit Dartmouth. And then that's when this idea about let's connect all the communities together from Swansea to Wareham. So, and they do a bike ride once a year. We'll get into that. You can get a little idea what they're doing. And so, Bet, we were going to do approval of minutes, but I suggest we move on from that.
Okay.
Because I'm not sure if we have a quorum.
Okay.
All right. So now, just briefly, this standing items, and that was the National Honor Society. Bet, I'm not sure if you had any more information, but Keith's daughter, I don't know if he wants to pipe in, but he sent me a message.
Yeah, I did get in contact with the advisors. The advisors had changed, and they were very open to letting the students know about any things that we need volunteers for.
Yeah, so Lauren, and that would be the National Honor Society, and sometimes they're required, or it's suggested that they get some kind of volunteer time, and so we presented ourselves as an organization, a committee that could use some of their help. All right, so now we're at the point where we're talking about events and updates. And we are talking about the volunteer recruitment. So welcome, Ed and Lauren. And we are giving an overview of the Westport Bike and Ped Committee milestones. Bet, I sent them out that video that we did for South Coast Bikeway. I'll just show you this. Ed, I don't know if you could see it because my screen. But Ed did get a peek at it, And Bet, I forgot that when you said what we should do this, but it does go through, it goes through the South Coast Bikeway link. And then it goes into, John Reed Road, which Lauren and Ed, we have a bike paths down there by the beach.
Mhm.
And then it goes to, let's see, what's the other thing we're going through now? The feasibility study that we're going to talk about, I think, yes, we're going to talk about that a little bit on the agenda. And then the connection to the Quequechan rail. And just in a side note for you guys, that is behind LePage's. It's only 1,000 feet to the Westport line. If you're on Route 6 and you see we're heading towards White's, there's 1,000 feet on the South Watuppa that they're going to be opening up and paving right to the Westport line. And Bet, Sarah said that at the South Coast Bike meeting this Tuesday, that's going to start in the spring.
Oh, great. Okay.
So that's, go
Yeah.
ahead.
If you want, I have the minutes for the last 5 years organized. So if you ever want to read through what we've been doing, I will loan this out as long as we get it back.
Okay. And then the other thing, Bet, in this video too, it reminded us about the role model, the education component where we're going to do the safe rides to school, bike rodeos.
Mm-hmm.
And then the highlight was the scavenger hunt
Yes.
that we did. And we got a Helen Ellis grant for that, Ed and Lauren. And we were able to get prizes. So Bet, can you just give them a little tidbit of that? Go ahead.
Our main focus is to get get our part of the South Coast Bikeway built. But alongside that, we're also trying to raise awareness of bicycling in Westport and get the people of Westport thinking about bicycling. So one of the ways we did that was had a Instagram scavenger hunt. I think it's 4 years ago now. We got a Helen Ellis Trust grant. We had a number of places around the town that families, they just had to take pictures of themselves and their bikes at these various scavenger hunt locations and then submit them via Instagram. And it was really fun. And we had a number of families that participated, and I think it did raise awareness. We got donations from different businesses in town.
Yes. And we had some money to have a final event at the library, which was a lot of fun. And we got to see, we have those pictures somewhere. I thought it might be on the bike committee Facebook, but I'll see if I can dig them up.
I think we have an Instagram, Facebook page, and they should still be on that.
Okay. Yeah. So if you guys have Instagram and you want to check that out, that would be fun. And then, Bet, I'm just going to continue with the other things so I believe that grant was 2018.
Okay.
And then we started with Route 6 and Serped to do open meeting forums from Route 6. They're doing a redesign. And we had a lot of community input on that. That process is now getting to be, it's all done. It's on Serped. And we're going to do, in Westport, we're going to do open meeting to get the stakeholders involved. So we haven't done that yet. And that's something that's lower on the agenda. We also, our Complete Streets neighborhood, our town, and we did that. The Board of Selectmen approved that in 2020. And then the next step was a prioritization plan. and Lauren shaking her head, I'm sure you're familiar with these things. We identified about, I forget, 10 to 15 plans, and it was rated in town. That Serped had finished that process and submitted it to our town. So now we can apply for grants in October. And so that's something we'll be working as a group to try to pick one of those preferred projects that came on the top, that ranked high, and to try to go for one of those grants. Then Keith was instrumental in getting our Westport CPC funds for the feasibility study that we've completed. And that was to connect the gap between New Bedford to Westport. And each city and town got $10,000, and Serped completed that feasibility study. We're now at the point now where there's a couple intersections that are kind of we want to highlight as probably a little bit of a problem to navigate, and we're going to have a rendering of what those intersections will look like, and then we'll present them to each individual town and city. Then Bet and and Keith have been helping in Steve with the Pedal for the Path, which is, Lauren, I was mentioning, that's the South Coast Bikeway ride that we do fundraising, and that's to close the gap. And again, specifically from New Bedford to Westport, because the part in Westport on the north side where it needs to be is not complete yet. So that we've been doing that for the last, I would say, 6 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about the education bike rodeo. There was one in the fall. Bet in our Westport group was going to be working with the Westport Recreation Department. And we tried to do one pre-COVID in 2019. And we had it scheduled for April 2020. And then March 2020, we had to cancel it. But we had it all set. But the one they did this fall was through the school system, and it was through the Safe Routes to School. So we did do one, but we were not involved in this one. And the last thing again is that we would like to connect to the Quequechan Trail. That last 1,000 feet will go to Westport. So we were hoping to make headway on connecting that to somewhere. Okay. Do you guys have any questions for us about any? I think Ed and I had a chat, Lauren, Thursday. So, but if you have any questions, you could definitely pipe in.
So where we need help, we always need help with the bicycle recycling program. The Board of Health and our Board of Health agent got a grant last year for us to install a shelter so that the bikes are out of the weather at the transfer station, and to get some bike racks. And so we will need strong arms to help us move the bikes and clean things up and erect that shelter, probably sometime in April. So we'll need help there if you guys, want to lend a hand seeing that. And then we usually need help at the Pedal for the Path, because we have a volunteer stationed at every turn just to make sure the bicyclists don't get lost. And then there used to be a bike summit every year in New Bedford at the Fort Robin. I don't know if that's going to happen this year, just because we're still coming out of COVID. So that's some of the.
But that was a lot of fun right? Yeah. That because that was not only regional, it was statewide. People would come up from different parts of the state. Maybe they would follow a speaker we were featuring. One time we had a author of a book that was also a comedian. And so that, anyway, when we do that, that's fun. And that would, if you do volunteer, usually man a table, or if you don't feel comfortable answering questions, there'll be one of us there. But also there'll be, something else, maybe just letting people know that this is in this building, and, things like that. But it is fun. So that, and it's not, when we do ask for help, it's usually, as Beth said, a situational thing, an event thing. And so just let us know your availability, what you're expecting, what you can do to fit in with your work and other things, and we'll respect that. So, but we're just happy that we got some people on board, which is kind of great. Thank you for doing that, you guys.
The other piece is the regional bike recycling. We're going to so the organizations, Fall Rivers Mass in Motion and Mattapoisett's Bike for All, both take some of these bikes and just fix them up so that they are roadworthy. And so there will be bike fixing up times and opportunities for volunteers to help, grease the spokes and oil whatever you need to oil, and just that sort of stuff. So we will let you know when those things come up.
Right. Great. Okay. Now I'm moving on to the SERPED meeting wrap up, Route 6 study. I'm gonna pass on that because Bet, I think Steve was gonna get us some information about that.
Right.
So I'm gonna pass on that. Okay.
Okay.
So essentially, just for Edward and Lauren, that this is Route 6. SERPED has, if you know, right here, I'm actually on East Briggs Road and near CVS, near Cumberland Farms and CVS. But they have presented a plan to put the road on a diet, to have medium and to have a bike path, and then sidewalks. So we will be doing meetings for that, for the stakeholders in town. So we'll send that out to you if you'd like to be part of it. You might want to just, see how it's going and how it looks. But also for our town, they are working on extending the water and the sewer up Route 6. And that's only going to go to Route 88. So that'll be from, I believe, White's up to 88. And that's with the town's economic development task force. So they're trying to get both of those things. They're not always on the same time frame and plan. So they're trying to get those things lined up that it would be advantageous for both of those projects to kind of, at least communicate. So the next thing is our feasibility concept drawings, and we did talk about that when I was doing the timeline of our milestones. And so that's the feasibility studies. If you guys would be interested, Bet, we still can direct them to that on the SERPED page, or
it should be on the SERPED page. So feasibility is more or less seeing, what's a good route for a bike path, what's publicly available land, what are the roadblocks, and they identified a northern route, which I think goes up near you, Lauren, and the Route 6, and then a southern route. And I think the group, the South Coast Bikeways as a whole, really liked the northern route. But what might actually get built because of state funding is this Route 6 corridor, because the state will pay for it. So the Westport doesn't have to pay for it. So I think in the end, they hope to do the northern route also, which will go up I think it is Blossom Road. I think it's Old Fall River Road.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So it goes Sanford Road. If we go east, it'll go up Sanford Road, Blossom Road, Old Fall River Road, New Plainfield Road in New Bedford, and then down into under 195, connecting to the Fairhaven bike path over the bridge there. Also, there'll be an alternate room because they're fixing that bridge. So that's the plan, but Ed and Lauren, I'll send you that link so you'll be able to look at that.
Right.
Okay. So, oh, we talked, yeah, did we skip the talking about the update? So we've so now we're at the point that that's done, and now that each town and city need to have a illustration done. Lauren, you're probably familiar with it because you work with the Rhode Island Department of Planning. We're gonna do illustrations, and then each of the municipalities will get a view of what we're looking for in each of those places, and then at that point you will have to approach the Westport, town hall and the stakeholders and the people to agree that that's what they want to pay for design and other things. So that's the phase we're in now on that. Any questions on that? Okay, great. And then I'm not sure if Keith wants to pipe in on any of that, but the concept drawings, it goes into another phase where the Bay Coast Bank is going to pay for those renderings, and then each town buying in, and then it's a process of agreeing to do it and then paying for a design process, and then it goes to construction. So that's how I understand it. I'm not sure if I'm not the engineer, but that's how I understand how it's going to go.
Yeah, so Serpent did a feasibility study, but it didn't have many graphics in there. So what we're trying to do is to add some graphics to accompany the report, the feasibility report, so that we can use that to pursue some grant funding. So every year there's a Mass Trails grant program that grant applications due February 1st. And then you can get up to like $300,000 or $400,000 from the grant program per project. So, if we position ourselves maybe for next year to be in line to apply for a grant, we could advance design and permitting of the recommended or preferred route alternatives. And then we could get through design, and then we would have to apply for state funding, either get the project, added to the tip through SERPED and Mass DOT, or find some other grant program, that would be able to fund the construction of the path. So it's a many step process, and it's going to take a while.
Yes, that's true. And Ed, and when we had coffee, we just said, yeah, you need a lot of patience for this whole thing. So, and we do. So thank you, Keith. Okay, so checking on the time, we're doing okay. It's 6:01. So we're now in the events where we're going to talk about events, real events. And there was a Cushnet crash. Bet has it right there. If you look at her screen there, it's going to be Sunday, April 30th at UMass Dartmouth parking lot. And I believe it's $75 for and it's a bike shirt. So it is a fitted bike shirt, but it also includes the portion of the scholarship for this young man. What's his name, Bet? I think it's David.
It's James Leandra. And he was a avid bicyclist and also worked with youth in this Dream Out Loud performing arts organization for at-risk youth in New Bedford. And he was tragically killed in a automobile accident. And this is to raise funds in his memory for this Dream Out Loud organization.
Yeah, and that organization is in New Bedford, and they've
Yeah.
been, this young man worked for them. So unfortunately, it happened in Acushnet. We talked about it at the South Coast Bikeway meeting. It was on Main Road, and that had been, Lauren, you'd probably understand this. It had been identified as a problem area where some of the truck drivers would pull in and do a U-turn, and the counseling on aging. And then they were both going the same way, Bet. That's what I heard. It wasn't a blind thing. And so it was unfortunate. So, and the young man was a real avid biker, and was one of his main modes of transportation was biking. So, and that there was a vote on Tuesday meeting that South Coast Bikeway is giving a donation to have their logo on that shirt.
Okay.
So the next one is Tour de Cream bike event, which that's from Mattapoisett, and that's going to be May 22nd. I believe there's going to be three rides, but it's going to be, Ed, we talked about this, user friendly. So I believe there was like a shorter ride, then a 25-mile, and then a 35-mile. But there is advantage to going on this, and why do they call it Tour de Cream? Is it's you ride, you take off and you ride from ice cream shop to ice cream shop, and then when you get to those points, you're rewarded with a free ice cream cone. And it was the most, I would say, successful ride in our area before a Pedal for the Path, it was before Pedal for the Path. And that all that money went for the Friends of Mattapoisett Trail. So, and Bet and I are trying to create the Friends of Westport bike.
Right.
And so that was their fundraiser, which was really successful. And then they ended up allowing us, when we do our Pedal for the Path, we asked if a couple of the stops could be ice cream shop stops, and they gave their blessing that we could do that as well. So look for that. That'll be fun.
And if you haven't been on the Mattapoisett Trail, it is gorgeous.
Yeah. Lauren or Ed, have you been on it yet? Yeah.
Gorgeous.
No, I haven't.
Yeah. So our last Pedal for the Path we did this last September, it was featured, and it is beautiful. I can just say that. And I did take pictures for this Pedal for the Path. So that should be on their Facebook page or their website. You can see how beautiful that is. And then, so there were some starts and stops with the Mattapoisett bike path, but they've gotten through that first part, phase 1, and now they're continuing on to Marion. So that's going to be happening. And any questions on that? So this would be the last event, and it's the New Bedford Star Chasers will hold a bike repair workshop. And Bet, do you want to?
It's 4 Saturdays in March. I believe it's 10 to 12 in the morning. You can sign up for one, or you can sign up for all 4. I believe the registration is $35. And it's to support the New Bedford Star Chasers. They're at the Co-Creative Center in New Bedford, and it's to help them pay the rent. So,
Oh, is that right?
yeah,
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
yeah.
So, and Beth's right. It's if you go for one, there's different things like it's how to fix a tire, and then it's how to adjust the brakes, and then there's four of them. So if you go to all four, it's 100, and if you just do one, it's 35. And just to get an idea, and Lauren, do you know who the Star Chasers are? Have you heard of them? No. So, too bad Sarah's not here, Bet, but
Yeah.
she's good at explaining it. So they are a group in New Bedford. Is a very art city and cultural. A lot of things going on there. So they'll ride on bikes that they create, and they call them starships. And Sarah's doing a ride, I believe, on Saturday where they said that they don't call it miles, but they'll say 7 light years. We're going to be traveling 7 light years, but that's 7 miles. And they dress in unusual, and sometimes they do night rides, and it's all their bikes are lit up. So they're very eclectic, interesting group. And
And it's
so
open
anyway,
to anyone who likes to bike. So it's for folks that you can ride your bike at night and not be fearful because you're in a group with a lot of other people, and their bikes are lit up, and it looks like fun. I have it on my list. I haven't gone yet, but I have it on my.
And I'll just say this, because when Beth and I were there on Monday, Civitron was telling us about it. Started out in a group in Boston. When I remember I was bringing my son up to MIT to be an engineer 10 years ago, there was a guy on this bike that was about like 8 feet up off the ground, and riding. And Civitron said, "Oh, that was what they call the Scud group." So that kind of concept grew out of those MIT students, and then now they're in New Bedford. So they're an interesting group, a lot of fun too. Okay, so it is 6:10, and I think we've gone through all our business. We do have for the people that want to be here, or but also for our committee member, our next meeting will be March 16th.
Okay.
So I don't think we'll have any conflicts with that. And for you guys, sometimes when we do vote on things, we'll take a roll call. But we didn't do that tonight because what we need a quorum. So we need to have so many people here to approve it. So we're going to pass on that.
And if you want to join the committee, you just need to submit a letter. Is it the Board of Selectmen's secretary?
Oh,
saying,
yeah.
hey,
So
I would love to be on the bike and walking path committee. That would make me so happy. And usually everyone that submits those letters gets appointed.
yeah, gets in. Okay, so I'm going to see if you guys can see it. It's a very short thing. It's to Paula Brown.
Yeah.
And then what happens is the board of selectmen, you would go before them and they would approve it, and then you're on board. But what we're hoping to do right now is Steve Willett is the board of selectmen. He's on 13 committees. So he said he'll stay on, but if there is anybody interested, he would be like a subsidiary member. We also were thinking of a young man who's 16 that had said he was interested in it. And so we talked about that as a group, is that those subsidiary members wouldn't be really full-fledged, but they would be somehow in a less responsibility tier. We'll just say that. So, yeah, so Beth's right. We always are looking for, members, and, so we have 4 now. I think we need 5, right, Beth?
Yeah, I
what we-
believe we started
Yeah.
with 7 at the big when I first joined.
Yes,
But one moved and someone else changed their job and someone else, well, they died. So,
yes,
not their
that was,
fault. Yeah.
right. And so we're, our goal is really to just get a replacement at this point for Steve.
Yeah.
And then that would be in addition to Steve, another one, that would be 5, right?
Yeah.
And we haven't thought about going to 7 yet, so.
No.
But certainly we're just, happy for the volunteer, position that you guys were interested in too. So however that fits in your life was great. But you can also, involve anybody else in town, which where Beth and we do have some ideas for other people to join in, but it's not a rush.
Right.
So,
So move to adjourn.
yes. Okay, and we'll do a roll call.
Okay.
So you move to adjourn. We need a second. Keith, did you want to second that?
And
Okay, second. All right, and so we'll do a roll call. Gail, I say yes. Keith
yes.
and Beth.
Yes.
Okay, that motion is carried, and you guys have a great evening. I appreciate
you.
it.